I'm sure you come across so many other misconceptions, right? Like a lot of people would not understand certain concepts, or they feel like,
Yeah.
there is some or the other kind of misinformation about something. In your profile, in the workspace that you have at the moment, do you come across something very often, which is like a misconception about health?
Yeah, like I would say the biggest one that I come across is that healthy food is bad
Yeah.
and that it's gonna taste bad because I keep doing these pop-ups and events, and often I'll be like, "Oh, do you want to try a healthy snack?" And then people will physically like just turn back and they'll say, "No, no, no, if it's healthy, I don't want it." They haven't even tried it, looked at it, smelled it, nothing. They just hear the word healthy and they think this is bad, that
It's
it's
not
going to
going to taste
taste
good,
bad.
is what they mean. Like they
Exactly.
think that it's not going
Exactly.
to taste as good as something which might have a little bit more sugar inside, or might have some other kind of more palatable things inside.
Welcome to Voice It with Karishma Shah.
So, Ananya, tell me, how did you start? What was the initial idea of starting Jungly Delights? I love the packaging, by the way. Please do elaborate on how that came along.
I will. So I started Jungly Delights because I just could not find any snacks in the market that were healthy and tasty. Everything was either healthy or tasty. And on top of that, there were so many misleading claims out there, like products that would claim to be healthy or diet friendly. And then you look at the ingredients and they're not healthy at all.
Yeah.
And so I just started making my own snacks at home and I would give it to my friends who started giving it to their friends. And everyone wanted more. So I realized, okay, clearly there's a demand for these products. And so it actually all started in my kitchen. The other thing that happened around the same time is while I was studying in New York, I noticed an explosion in the trend of the turmeric latte,
Yeah.
which is basically haldi doodh. It's something we've all grown up drinking in India. In fact, we're forced to drink it when we're sick.
Yeah.
And I realized people in the West were valuing our Indian superfoods more than we were. And our generation was actually forgetting about a lot of these ingredients, like ashwagandha, moringa. We've heard of them, but how many of us are actually consuming them in our day-to-day lives?
Yeah.
And so that's why I decided to narrow in on bars as the product because that's something that really fits into our busy lifestyles.
Yeah.
And in each bar, I decided to add these Indian superfoods. So we have variants like Energize, which is your favorite, which is chocolate with moringa. Because on their own, these superfoods are actually very bitter. So I wanted to make it palatable. So it all started in my kitchen where I did like tons of testing and recipes. And so there's chocolate with moringa. There's then the calm bar, which is blueberry with ashwagandha. And so the packaging, coming to that part, it also highlights the entire Indian superfood aspect because
Yeah.
for me, one of the best things about India is the jungle. It's one thing that really stands out. And so the jungle is, so it represents that Indian side of the product.
Yeah.
And also it's symbolic of nature. It's natural. And our products are 100% natural. And we've chosen one animal for each product. So, for example, for the Energize bar, there's Leela the monkey that goes onto the packaging because monkeys are energetic. Moringa gives you energy. It's a really nutrient dense energy source. Similarly, for our calm bar, we have Uma the elephant. And the calm bar has ashwagandha, which is an adaptogenic herb that helps your body combat stress. And so elephants are also a symbol of calm, they're headstrong. So it also represents the benefits of each product. Then
Yeah.
we have a peacock. We have Percy the peacock for our glow bar, which is made with amla, honey with amla, which is really good for skin and hair. And then finally, we have Jahan the deer for our focus bar, because deers are always focused and alert, and that's our strawberry with tulsi bar.
Yeah. I love the
Yeah.
use of archetypes. I feel like, I also have this thing that I do, which is known as an health personality, right? It's a concept of health psychology, right? And to be able to just
Okay.
understand a person from a basic archetype of their behavioral patterns, right? So I think, what you really put into perspective right now is also a part of that, because the way that you said, an archetype of somebody who's a little bit more calmer, right, will have to be an elephant. So it's just that whole metaphoric,
Yeah, that's interesting.
amalgamation
I have to check
there.
that out.
So it's
Yeah.
amazing.
And Thank you. I've also, one of the things that was really important to me was to make the packaging fun and attractive, because all the healthy food that I was seeing was in those kind of like really boring brown paper packaging,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is also like, okay, I mean, if a brand wants to do that, that's fine. But I just felt like there's this huge misconception that healthy food is bad. And then when people see that kind of packaging, they're like, oh, it's not going to taste good. So I really wanted to steer clear of that, make it fun, bright, attractive, and let people know that healthy food is actually really tasty too.
Yes, you've done a great job with it. I'm personally a very big fan of, your entire branding and packaging and the product as well. I think it kind of just hits
And
the nail where it's supposed to hit it. Ananya, tell me your take on, because we're looking at, I know you mentioned a couple of times you mentioned that holistic way of looking at things is really important, right? So rather than just looking at something from, oh, this is just an energy bar, or oh, this is just, millet, so this is just a adaptogen, or this is just something that is a superfood, right? What's your
yeah.
take on something which is more holistic by nature? What do you think about holistic wellness?
So I think wellness is by definition holistic, but our society tends to glorify the physical aspect of it.
Yeah.
So physical wellness is so important also. It includes like our workout, our diet, the food we eat. But there are other aspects of wellness that are just as important, and that includes emotional, spiritual, and mental health as well. And we can't have one without the other. So we tend to focus on the physical aspect, but then it's so important to have your emotional, mental, and spiritual health in check as well, because you might be in the best physical shape, but if you're emotionally you're not okay, then you can't really be healthy. So I
Yes.
really feel like it's important to focus on the other aspects just as much. And there's so many ways that you can do that through mindfulness, meditation, taking care of your mental health, checking in on how you're actually feeling. Are
Yes.
you feeling okay?
Yes, yes, that's one of the biggest things that you said right now, right? I feel like
Mm.
thank you for elaborating it. And I feel like it's so true because we look at one aspect only. Even this whole thing about kind of creating a routine, creating a regime for yourself, right? Creating a structure which works for you, not something that I have seen two other people follow, or not something which I'm being forced to follow. It never really sticks through because you're doing
Yeah,
something which is not really personalized for yourself. It's not working for yourself, around your
yeah,
environment, around your personality, around, your day-to-day activities, right? Your age, your stage, so many factors that are playing over here. So
so
to add
true.
to what you said, I feel like you hit the point at the right stage. But I do feel like another thing is that it really has to come in from a perspective which you can sustain. For me, holistic also means that you have to be able to sustain it for a very long time. It's not that,
Yeah,
oh, the entire world is having moringa, let me also have moringa as well. But is it
yeah,
really suiting me? Do I really like it? Can I continue having moringa for the rest of my life now? Right? So
exactly.
I do feel like along with everything being very natural and holistic, I also feel like, does it fit into your life? That's how things are
And do you
supposed to be.
enjoy it?
Yes.
Exactly. Because I feel like a lot of people think they start doing things that they dread. Like
Yeah.
whether it's a workout or something to eat, they're like, I remember I started doing this with apple cider vinegar and I was having it in the morning and I hated it. And then I'm just like, why am I doing this? And I never had it again because there's so many other ways in which you can take care of yourself, which you can actually enjoy. So what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So it's very bio individual in that sense, and you have to find what works for you, what you I think the most important thing is to find things that you enjoy, because that's the only way you're going to stick to it. If you
Yes.
hate it, if you dread it, you're not going to stick to it. And wellness can really be something that you enjoy. Like for me, I love wellness. I look forward to it. And it can be as simple as just taking a walk in the park. And that can have such huge benefits on your mental and physical health.
Yes, yes. On that note also, Ananya, can you tell me some of your, daily rituals or, just routines that you really have fallen in love with over a period of time and you've realized that this is something that really does kind of add to my life. Rather than, me being stressed to do it, it's adding to my life and I'm looking forward to it. Please share some of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely been a huge journey. I guess everyone has their own wellness journey. And I feel I'm now at that stage where I love what I do in wellness, but it I just to point this out that it's not always been like that. Like, for example, when I first started working out, I remember I started going for these spinning classes. And and at the end of the class, you're drenched in sweat. But during the class, I realized I was hating it. I was like, when is this going to end?
Yeah.
And at the end, I felt amazing. But then I started dreading it and I was like, why am I doing this? And so it's been a journey for me when I've had that phase, but now I've reached this place where I found things that I love to do.
Yes.
And so some of those, and I guess everybody goes through that. So this is just to say that maybe if you haven't found that yet, maybe you're doing the wrong workout or you're doing the wrong steps, and there is something for everyone.
Yes.
And so for me now, those things that I really enjoy doing in my routine would include incorporating some sort of movement every single day because that really brings me calm. It makes me feel good. It releases those endorphins. So
Yeah.
for me, some of the workouts I love are Pilates as well as strength training. And I also just love to go for walks,
Yeah.
especially with my dog. I mean, it's great for both me and my dog to
Yeah.
bond with each other. And it's also just so nice to be out in nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially in our modern day lifestyles, it's easy to just be stuck in your office or in your home looking at devices. So being outside, and there's that aspect of it as well.
Yes.
And yeah, other things I would say would be just spending time with loved ones. I find that really helps me. I'm not saying with just everybody, but with my core group, like whether it's family or friends, that really grounds me and it brings me calm and joy.
Yes.
And yeah, just making time for mindfulness. And this could, of course, be meditation, but it can be something much simpler as well, like just savoring the moment.
Yes.
And so, for example, like one of the things that I love doing is taking a hot shower at the end of a long day.
Yeah.
So, when I do it, I make sure that I'm present in that moment and savoring it. And that is also mindfulness and just appreciating it, or even keeping a gratitude journal. And these are things that have scientifically been proven to actually make you happier.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Some brilliant points that you mentioned. I'm just going to go over that, from a perspective of um, what you said. How does it impact you from a more holistic perspective, right? You said something as simple as going and taking a walk, like what a lot of people think is that when I need to go out, when I need to work out, when I need to move, I have to do something constantly, which is very rigorous, right? Now, it does work
Mhm.
for some people, but today's day and time, I feel like because everyone is so overwhelmed and everybody is so stressed, right? There are activities where you do small little things and that kind of calms you down. So any activity, the things you mentioned, going out
Yeah.
for a walk with your dog, which is generally going out in nature without any music, listening to the sound, seeing everything around you, right? I know in cities it's a little difficult, but I'm sure you can find a small park somewhere, or you can find some kind of a space somewhere or the other where you can kind of engage in this, right? So,
Yeah.
like, this is so important for us to wind down. We're just obviously, we're
Yeah.
all the time so wound up, constant
Exactly.
stimulation, constant feedback from people, constant social media, constant things to look at, understand, read, and it
Exactly.
diminishes our own voice, it diminishes our own intuition, right? And when you do activities
Absolutely.
like the ones that you mentioned, right? Like
Yeah.
going out for walks, spending time with loved ones,
Mhm.
one of the other thing that you mentioned, which is beautiful, is that you said just simply being by yourself, taking a shower, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, and just being present over there. It's not like you're taking a shower, but you're thinking of something else, and you're not being able to even savor that little moment that you're having with your own intimate body, right?
Exactly.
These
Yeah.
things are so minor and so tiny, but you come back, you constantly keep coming back to this because in reality, no matter how much you are doing or how less you are doing, it's these things that can really, really ground you. And what more do we need in days like this and times like this than grounding?
Exactly. I mean, our phones were just so overstimulated all the time. Like it's constantly notifications coming in. It's so important to make that time for ourselves.
Yes.
It could even be just like jumping on a trampoline if that's what you enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's great. Like you're moving. It's actually really good for like lymphatic drainage as well. And it makes you happy. Like it's one of those things that's also you're connecting with your inner child.
Yes.
And there's just so many things that you can do, and you have the most important thing is that you find what works for you.
Yes. Yes, and also
And
take
yeah,
that initiative. Because a lot of people
yeah,
say things and do things, right? Like we're always saying that, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that. We never get down to taking initiative for it. On the flip side, if there is something to do from a career perspective, or there is something to do from, going out, enjoying entertainment perspective, we'll always take initiative. But I've seen so many
exactly.
people lacking in taking
Yeah.
initiative for themselves, for wellness, for actually, tuning inside.
Yeah.
So there's this thing where, okay, talk about it, learn about things, get educated, but then take that kind of step to do it for yourself as well.
Yeah, and I think that one of the reasons actually is because of we're conditioned. A lot of people just think that wellness is going to be bad. It's going to be something I hate. They'll
Yes,
think that, like, oh, if I do this, it's just going to be 1 hour of me just like trudging along, where actually it could even just be 10 minutes of movement and you might just love it.
yes,
So people, there, that misconception needs to change. It doesn't have to be something that's going to be bad. It's actually going to be something that's great
yes.
and fun. And if you look at it like that, then you will take that step.
Yes, absolutely. You've been working in this space for a very long time now, right? You've been dealing with nutrition and health from the brand perspective as well, right? And you recently told me that you've also got a certification to be a health coach, right? So,
Yes.
Ananya, tell me this, um, I'm sure you come across so many other misconceptions, right? Like a lot of people would not understand certain concepts, or they feel like,
Yeah.
there is some or the other kind of misinformation about something. In your profile, in the workspace that you have at the moment, do you come across something very often, which is like a misconception about health?
Yeah, like I would say the biggest one that I come across is that healthy food is bad and that it's gonna taste bad because I keep doing these pop-ups and events, and often I'll be like, oh, do you want to try a healthy snack? And then people will physically like just turn back and they'll say, no, 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 if it's healthy, I don't want it. They haven't even tried it, looked at it, smelled it, nothing. They just hear the word healthy and they think this is bad, that
It's
it's
not
gonna
going to taste
taste
good,
bad.
is what they mean. Like they
Exactly.
think that it's not going to
Exactly.
taste as good as something which might have a little bit more sugar inside, or might have some other kind of more palatable things inside.
Exactly. And so this is a huge misconception because for me, like my yummiest meals actually happen to be the healthiest ones. And
Yes.
I think the reason they think that is because for them, healthy food is probably like boiled sprouts or something. But there's so much creativity that can happen in the healthy food space. I mean, like really nourishing meals with lots of vegetables, whole grains, like the Mediterranean diet. It's delicious and it's also so healthy. So
Yes.
that's a big misconception that I often encounter. Another thing that I see a lot is that people think that low calorie is better.
Yeah.
But actually, that's such a big misconception because eating just low calorie foods is going to keep you hungry and you're
Yeah.
later going to binge. You're probably not getting enough nutrients. You're probably going to end up feeling really hungry at the end of the day. And people will look at the calories and say, oh my God, it's 150 calories. I can't eat that. But actually, it's more about the quality of the calories rather than the quantity. So
Yes.
look at the ingredients. Like, are there good fats in there? Fats are actually, that's another misconception that fat is bad. But look out for good fats. Look out for nutrient-dense ingredients that are going to keep you full and
Yes.
keep your body nourished rather than just going for low calorie because low calorie often includes like artificial sweeteners and bad ingredients that are not really good for our bodies.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that point. It's a point which a lot of people in the health industry now need to start talking about. It's about
Mhm.
being nutrient dense. We look at a
Yeah.
lot of food items and they're calorie empty, or they're low cal, low fat, etc., etc. Why has nobody paid attention to highlighting foods which are nutrient dense or nutrient rich, right? Now you
Exactly.
can be eating this thing that you said is so good, and I'm just going to give my 2 cents on it.
Mhm.
150 calories can look very tasty, but have no nutrient value and be very,
Mhm.
very empty. So let's give you an example of, you can have a sandwich. Okay.
Yeah.
That sandwich can just have bread and butter, and it could have, some of the other kind of vegetables inside. That is 150, 200 calories, right? But what is the kind of, nutrient density that you're getting within it? Nothing. In half an hour of eating that, empty sandwich, you're going to feel hungry again.
Yeah.
because bread is
Exactly.
also inflammatory in nature. As compared to that, if we ate something like multi-millet chilla, or we ate something like a energy bar which has the right kind of protein content, millets, also
Mm.
superfoods, and also nuts and seeds, which are very satiating from a fat perspective. Or we had
Yeah.
something like a smoothie, or we had something like a simple homemade paratha which also has either paneer, tofu, chana, or some other kind of protein content inside, right? So
Yeah.
I'm saying same calorie value, but something which is made outside, or something which is just very, very, very tasty, right, is not giving you so much of nutrition density. It's not giving you those nutrients. It's not going to make your skin glow.
Exactly.
It's not going to make your hair grow. It's not going to give you
Yeah.
that kind of strength. But that other
Yeah.
meal, which is again 150, 200 calories, it has
Yeah.
created your hunger. It has given you that kind of nutrition density. It has also given you the kind of vitamins, minerals profile that is there. And it's helping you in a long term cumulative process of things. So I feel like this is so important for people to be able to talk about, where don't only keep counting calories, but look at what is there on your plate as well.
Absolutely. This is just so important. I think it's a misconception because in the 90s, people really focused on low fat, low calorie. That was the trend at the time. But actually for health, that's not what you should be focusing on. You also have to see how is your body metabolizing this? What is it doing to your sugars? Like eating a white bread sandwich just with no nutrients, like what is that actually doing to you? As
Yes.
opposed to eating something nutrient dense. So focus on getting in your vegetables, your nutrients, your nuts, your seeds, and make sure that it's tasty too. Like you
Yes.
can do both.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we're policing things and we're being like, oh, no, you can't eat sandwiches. Oh, no, you can't eat pancakes. Oh, no, you can't do all these things.
Yeah,
Of course, you can do everything.
yeah, of
The idea
course, yeah,
here is of a more larger quantity perspective, wherein if you are somebody who is consuming a piece of sandwich for 6 days in a week, that's not working for you. It's okay for you
yeah,
to have one sandwich once in a week. It's okay, right? So it's not about,
yeah,
oh, I'm completely against all these very extreme diets and very extreme things of doing this.
yeah,
Completely against that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel like you can enjoy it, but there's a time and place for it. And from
Mhm.
a more larger quantity perspective, it's good for you to focus on more nutrient dense food items.
Yeah, just it's about balance. Like have your pancake or your pizza or your sandwich, but also have your veggies and make sure it's not an everyday thing. Like make it once in a while. And the most important thing is to enjoy because if you're going to be stressed out and if you have this negative association with food and the things you enjoy, that's not healthy either. So just enjoy it. If you're going to indulge, enjoy it and enjoy, savor that moment, do it, and then later have your veggies too.
Yes, yes. Is there anything from a personal perspective that you do to be able to manage, your physical health routine, your nutritional profile? Are there some tips that you can kind of suggest that you do for yourself?
Yeah, I guess, well, firstly, like just incorporating movement.
Yeah.
And I would say sometimes plan ahead for meals because that can become a challenge when you're busy. You might be like, oh, what should I have at the last minute? You've not really prepared anything, so you end up ordering some junk. So
Yeah.
instead, just plan ahead for your meals, like whether it's for the day or the week, you have to see what works for you. So just, and maybe just keep a note of yummy food ideas, like what you could have on a weekday lunch or dinner so that when you have to think about it, you have those options ready. Because sometimes, like even for me, if I'm really busy, I can't really think. So then I just open a note on my phone for some options and then I'm like, okay, I'll have that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like find things you enjoy. And I think that we can also get really caught up in our everyday lives and things can be stressful. Like we were discussing earlier, there's so much overstimulation. So I
Yes.
think when it comes to mental health, that's something that you should really not neglect. And for some reason, our physical health is so glorified. Like going to a workout class is considered so much fun
Yeah.
and it's something cool. But then taking care of your mental health is something that's still such a taboo. So
Yes.
if it comes to it and you need to see a therapist, I would say see one. There's just no harm in it. And it's something I've actually done before. And
Yeah.
it's really helped me kind of just strike a balance in my life. And so I think that it's so important to focus on physical as well as mental health. And there's no shame in that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for elaborating that. I think more and more people, need to be able to talk about this and need to understand that these are actually the essential pillars of what we call health or what we call wellness.
Yeah,
It's a part of preventive healthcare as well, because
yeah,
if you are somebody who has a family history of, let's say, any kind of metabolic syndrome, right? Diabetes, hypertension, thyroid, PCOD, anything, right? Cancer as well these days, right?
yeah,
So when you know that
yeah,
the family history of something like this, you will have to start using preventive healthcare measures so that by the time
yeah,
that you reach a certain age, you would not be able to contract these kinds of metabolic syndromes, right? So
exactly.
the things that you said, from physical health to the mental health to also looking
Yeah,
after yourself and being mindful, are some of the things that we use to be able to finally prevent ourselves from going into a more deeper, bad black
exactly.
hole of not feeling well.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's not even the ones that might have this genetic predisposition because now there's so many lifestyle related diseases. So
Yes.
one thing is to prevent it if our parents or grandparents have had these diseases, but even if they haven't, we're not immune to these things. We have to take care of our health. Given the kind of air we breathe and the kind of lifestyles we live, health is the most important thing, and without that, we have nothing. So it's so important to prioritize that.
Yes, yes, I know. I truly believe that. In fact, I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and I was, I was talking about few things, and I remember mentioning that, we will be able to possibly live with lesser money, lesser luxury, lesser materialistic things, right? We'll survive,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
But we cannot survive on less health. And that's something for us to remember and understand that I
Yeah.
can take a break from a very stressful work environment. I can take a break from, not stressing out so much with life in general, but I will have to tune in and take care of my health, be mindful of what I'm eating, choose healthy products, because
Exactly.
we're living in times where you can't ignore it. I feel like a product like yours is a great snack to carry with yourself. It's also something which is, you need to understand that I will not choose products out there or brands out there which are completely crappy, but let me choose better products than that, so that at least it's kind of,
Yeah.
much more 60 to 70% working for me instead of just empty calories and nonsense that I'm
Totally.
putting inside my body. So I feel like that
Exactly.
is so important to understand for people.
True. And that's why you should plan ahead. Like for me, I keep my bars in my bag at all times because otherwise, what's available in the market? I mean, let's say you're on a road trip and you stop by, you're probably only going to see chips and
Yes,
junk. So it's so
yes,
important to keep these with you. Like whether not just my bars, it could be any healthy snack, nuts, seeds, makhana, or something. Just plan ahead because the sad thing is that in our society, like those are the options that are widely available. The ones that are widely available is the junk food.
true.
And so keep those things with you on hand. You never know when you're going to need them.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ananya,
Yeah,
for
but you're right
highlighting
that
all
like
the points.
without your health,
Yeah.
you really don't have anything, and we can easily we can definitely survive on less money, less luxury, but without our health, we really don't have anything. I think the most important thing is to enjoy it and
Yes.
to look at it with a positive outlook instead of looking at it as something that you dread.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for elaborating those points, Ananya. My last question for you is that you've had a journey with Jungly Delights. You've been, training and prepping yourself as well for so many different things that are going to come ahead for you, right? I wish you more success and prosperity, of course. But, is there
Thank
a
you.
last message, or is there a learning message that you have kind of gained over, working for your brand, working in the health industry, which you would like to tell people who are also looking to kind of start something, or who are looking to kind of, get into this space as well? So any kind of a message that you have.
Yeah, I would say two things. The first is to believe in yourself because there are always going to be people that will say, don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I wanted to start Junglee, so many people close to me were like, oh, there's no market for healthy food. People like samosas in India. That was the response I got. So really just believe in yourself. That
Yes.
is the most important thing. And so if you have an idea and you really believe in it, just go out and do it. And
Yes.
you learn along the way. I mean, if you have to pivot things, you can pivot, but believe in yourself because there will always be naysayers. And the
Yes.
second thing I would say is to enjoy the process because you can get so caught in the rat race, especially when it's your own thing. It's easy to just get so absorbed in the smaller things, but enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. I think you have to look at it with a positive mindset, and of course take time for yourself too. Like, you know what it's like having your own thing. It can be a lot. So strike that balance between work and life. Take time for yourself and enjoy your life because we only have one life. So enjoy the process.
Thank you for those golden words. I think they resonate a lot with me as well. And it's going to resonate with a lot of people who hear this also because we're forgetting that, these
Yeah.
words that you
It's
just
easy
mentioned
to,
right now. Yeah.
yeah.
We're in
Yeah.
that race in trying to, live up with technology, live up with the current times. We're forgetting these things. And this is the only thing which truly is the source of happiness, being present, mindfulness, enjoying the moment. This is what it
Mhm.
is. This is what really, really is the beginning of anybody's journey or anybody's spiritual journey as well. So thank you, Ananya, for this conversation. I've enjoyed it a
Thank
lot.
you.
All your
Yeah,
pointers are
me too.
fantastic.
Thank you. It was great speaking with you.